All right, let's get right into this. We're about to break down an endurance challenge that is just next level. Imagine spending an entire week totally stranded deep inside the Earth. We're talking no sun, constant dampness, and danger lurking around every single corner. And there it is. That's the moment the challenge really begins. There's no backing out now. The second their feet hit that cave floor, the clock starts on an ordeal that is going to push them past their absolute limits.
7 days. I mean, on the surface, that sounds simple, right? A week. But just try to wrap your head around what that actually means when you are completely and utterly cut off from the world.
That's 168 hours in an environment that is totally alien to us. There's no day, there's no night. Just this constant, suffocating darkness that's only broken up by the tiny beams from their headlamps.
And look, they're not just setting up a tent near the entrance. No. They have to travel deep into this massive cave system just to find a place to call base camp.
5 kilometers deep into the Earth. That level of isolation is it's hard to even imagine. They are completely, totally cut off.
So how does an ordeal like this even kick off? Well, it starts with a massive shock to the system, and a laundry list of dangers that can honestly end the whole thing before it even really gets started.
Right off the bat, the threats are coming from everywhere. The entrance itself could flash flood, which would be game over. The darkness is absolute. And then there's the sheer physical grind of it all. They're hauling 80-pound bags over this jagged, slippery rock for 4 straight hours just to get to their camp.
Brutal.
And this quote, wow, it's just chilling, isn't it? They're already going through this incredible hardship, and they have no clue that this is basically just the warm-up. This really sets the stage for everything that's coming.
But you know, survival isn't just about gritting your teeth and enduring. It's about adapting. The team had to figure out, how do we turn this cold, wet, rocky hell into something we can actually live in?
And this is where you see their ingenuity just shine. Their first try at a camp was a disaster. Leaky tarps, water everywhere, hammocks hanging way too close to a 40-foot drop. But they learn. They combine their tarps into a super tarp. They find a little nook for their fire to trap the heat, and they make their whole setup way safer and, most importantly, drier.
And you know, even in these awful conditions, they still find a way to laugh. The cave is constantly dripping water on them, but it's not rain, right? There are no clouds down there. So, what do they call it? Rock pee. It's a small, funny thing, but it shows you how they're coping with this absolutely bizarre new reality.
Okay, so they've built their shelter, but they didn't go through all this trouble just to sit around camp. The main event, the whole point, was an expedition, a really dangerous journey into the heart of the cave, to see if they could actually reach the very end of it.
So, their plan, with their survival expert Joel leading the way, was incredibly ambitious. We're talking squeezing through these tiny, tight cracks, crossing enormous caverns, and then, the scariest part, navigating this freezing, fast-moving underground river. And the stakes just could not be any higher. This quote comes from a moment where they are literally clinging to a wall over this raging river. There are no safety nets, one little slip, and that's it. The cave just takes you.
But their first go at it? It's a failure. The cave doesn't care about your plans. They took too much time filming, kind of enjoying the novelty of it all, and the water levels got too dangerous. They had to turn back, completely defeated.
But they don't give up. They regroup and they go for it again. And this second attempt becomes the real climax of their entire journey, pushing them through even bigger dangers to find something truly unbelievable.
The second time around, it's like the cave is throwing everything it has at them. They're climbing along walls over what looks like a bottomless pit, they're fighting these insane currents, and they're trying to dodge sharp rocks in the freezing water that they can't even see. I mean, this is survival on an absolute knife's edge. And then, right at the peak of all this tension, something completely wild happens. Deep in the most dangerous part of the cave, the entire journey pauses for, well, a commercial break.
I'm not kidding. After hours of this brutal trek, Jimmy stops everything to unveil a new toy line he's been carrying the whole time. It's such a surreal, almost funny moment of business in the middle of all this chaos.
So, after surviving the river and the surprise ad break, they finally get there. The destination, the reason for this whole insane trek, the glowworm chamber.
And what a payoff it is. The walls, the ceiling, they're all covered in thousands and thousands of these tiny bioluminescent glowworms. It looks like a galaxy underground. And in that moment, you can feel it. All the pain, all the cold, all the fear, it just melts away. It was worth it.
But reaching that beautiful chamber isn't the end of the story. Now we have to look at the real price they paid, the toll this whole journey took on them, physically and mentally.
This quote is just staggering. He compares this to being buried alive and says the cave was harder. And you have to ask why, right? Because in those other situations, the misery might be intense, but here, it was constant and it was everywhere. It was the psychological torment plus this relentless physical punishment. You're always cold, you're always wet, your body's always aching from sleeping on rock. You can never, ever get comfortable.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. On one side, you've got this pure, unfiltered misery. But on the other, you have these incredible moments of connection and victory. They're comparing rapids together, they're laughing in their hammocks. The suffering was very, very real, but it was the friendship that made it all mean something.
So that leaves us with this final, really interesting question to chew on. This was, by every measure, a miserable experience. And yet, they came out of it saying it was one of the most beautiful trips of their lives. It just makes you wonder, when does suffering actually become a worthwhile thing? When is all that misery worth it?